Now, 13 public works officials are facing disciplinary action over the construction of the Beitbridge border fence. Now, that fence was erected when the national lockdown was declared in late March last year. It was later revealed the government paid 3 times more than its actual value, and it seems the fence is falling apart. Now, the Parliament Standing Committee on Public Accounts says no more money should be spent on fixing the existing fence, which cost taxpayers at least 37 million rand. Lindsay Dentling has been following that story and joins us now from Cape Town. Lindsay, hello. So what is the latest on these 13 who are facing disciplinary action?
Well, Sally, it's a bit of a slow process. Those officials were given an opportunity late last year to make representation on charges that they faced in connection with their role in awarding this tender to Magwa Construction. Some of them, most of them, took up the opportunity to respond, and it was the view of the state attorney that immediately 8 of them should just be found guilty and that be put on their record. But the department has decided not to follow that route. Instead, it's giving all of them the opportunity to face a disciplinary hearing. And we heard today in Parliament that they will all receive their final charges. The expectation is during the course of this week for those disciplinaries to begin. And then, of course, there are 2 other officials who are appointed under a different act, and that is the Director General. You will recall Sam Keller is facing a host of charges related to other issues within the Public Works Department. Those relate to state funerals, for example, and now he also faces charges in connection with this fence. And you will recall that the presidency was going to take over conducting disciplinary proceedings against him, the late Minister Jackson Tembu. So now, obviously, that matter has not proceeded immediately. And then also there's the issue of the special advisor to the minister, Melissa Whitehead. She's also faces some form of disciplinary, and we understand that process is still ongoing. So really, the committee of Parliament today not very happy at the pace at which things are moving in connection with this fence. And as it goes with the fence itself, we now know there are dozens of breaches, damages to this fence. And Parliament heard today that the department, acting on a recommendation from the committee, was looking into fixing the fence, but today MPs saying not a single cent should be spent on fixing this fence because it will just amount to more wasteful and fruitless expenditure.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be just throwing good money after bad. And it's good to hear that there's a process being followed against government officials who may have erred. But is there similar scrutiny of the company that erected this overpriced fence that's now basically falling apart?
Well, Sally, it's been no secret that this company has a number of other contracts with the department, and that it wasn't new to the department when it was given this contract and deviating from procedure because of it was deemed an emergency ahead of the lockdown. But what we did find out in Parliament today that hasn't emerged before is that this company, along with a subcontractor that it uses, between the 2 of them, they have 19 contracts with the department that date before this fence. And we heard today from the acting Director General that these contracts are worth some 400 million rand. So you can imagine the concern from MPs today wanting to know what's going to happen. They are suggesting possibly that these contracts be terminated. But the department said it couldn't move that quickly. It had to follow due process, and that an audit is underway of all the projects that these 2 companies, Magwa Construction and Prof Team, they have with the department, and they need to take legal advice and get second legal opinions as to whether it would in fact be legal to terminate other contracts that these companies have with the department that date before this fence, based on the fact that this fence is such a mess. So it doesn't just follow automatically that it can go and cancel all these contracts. The chairperson of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts saying he's finding it very hard to believe that if this fence is such a mess, that these other projects that these 2 companies are involved in are above board. And he wanted answers from the department, and the department is promising to come back with a full list of exactly what projects these 2 companies are involved in, which was also responsible for building this fence. But Sally, here's a little bit that I put together from those interactions at the Standing Committee of Public Accounts today on this matter.
Labelled a national embarrassment, Scopa says any more money spent to fix this fence, which is less than a year old, will amount to fruitless and wasteful expenditure.
I want to assure the committee that any interim solution will not include the existing fence that's not fit for purpose.
The Public Works Minister says her department can't be held responsible for the damage and the breaches.
The Department of Defence is the user department, and therefore they play a major role in agreeing or advising us on solutions and specification to the fence.
While legal proceedings are still underway to recoup the money spent on this fence, Scopa is now questioning the validity of 19 other contracts awarded to the same two companies.
We don't trust Makwa Construction. Let me just be very frank with you. We have the fundamental view that they have got cronies in the department. And that is why it was easy for them to have been given the Beitbridge Border Post fence project.
But the Public Works Department says it must complete an audit of the projects first and take legal advice. Scopa says the process is moving too slowly.
These issues must be dealt with speed, with urgency, and brought to a conclusion so that you can move on to the next pressing issues that the department is faced with.
11 of 13 department officials involved in the debacle are expected to be served with final charges this week. Lindsay Dentlinger, Cape Town.